Welcome back to Real Repairs for Real Customers. When we're choosing a repair product or a refinishing product for leather, it's good to think beyond the leather. And what do I mean by that? Well, the leather can be put over any type of substance. For example, it could be coating a dash or plastic. If your leather is coating a dash, it's not going to be that flexible. So it's probably not going to move. It's not going anywhere. That's something to consider. Okay? But the leather might be around a rubber core, such as on a steering wheel, where it's wrapped really tightly by the stitching. A little bit more flexible, but still not extremely flexible. Then we could have a cushion. I have a couple of cushions here. This would be a structural foam. Structural foam comes in various densities, so it could be firm or medium or very light. You never know what's under there. For example, this cushion on this arm is rather firm. It's a rather firm structural foam, very firm as a matter of fact. So that is going to take into consideration what repair materials we're going to use. On the other hand, if underneath your leather is a polyester batting like this, more like a pillow, then it's going to be very flexible, such as this cushion here. So that's why there's some different approach to automotive, which is more based on a firmer structural foam, and furniture is a little different because it's going to be a softer, maybe a polyester pillow underneath the leather. So all these things are going to come into play if we think beyond the leather and think about what is supporting the leather, and that's going to affect our choice of repair product and our choice of finished product. Now this chair is ready for delivery, but we're going to find out what we did in order to prepare this for delivery, and our main objective is to take care of the multitude of cat scratches and a few other little blemishes as well. So let's go to work. Cat scratches are everywhere in this recliner, but the cat has been scratched from the household. So we're going to approach all our repairs, you guessed it, from scratch. In addition, we have this worn out bead on the leg rest. Now the scratches vary in severity and in scope, so we have a chance to highlight a few different approaches. First of all, let's take a minute to examine our color. The really dark red pigment that we had in the 90s is no longer available, so we have to be careful in our choices. Here are all the caps of my pigments which relate to red in any way. We have red, true red, maroon, red oxide, brown, which by the way is a very reddish brown, very strong in the red. Then we have orange. We have purple, which, as you know, is a combination of red and blue. And then, lastly, fast red. Now, all my choices of pigments necessitate that we pick a dark value. Introducing anything of a light value is absolutely going to ruin any chances of getting a color match here. Maroon is close in value to the leather. Maroon is a bit bluish, and so is the leather. If we need it darker, we could add purple. And why purple and not black? Well, purple is so dark as to be almost black, but it contributes red. In other words, it's supporting our target of red. So that will keep us on track for our color. Now, if on mixing these two, we found out that we needed something stronger in the red, then our darkest value red would be our choice. And that is here at the end, the fast red. Now for furniture, we need to give consideration to the binder that we will use. If the leather is high gloss, then using a satin binder will not give you the correct depth of color, even if you have the correct pigments. And since dark reds are difficult anyway, as a suggestion, why not make your dark reds with the high gloss binder, getting as much depth of color as you can achieve at the very start. Then it would be easier to adjust down than to try to adjust in the other direction. In a printed leather like this, I usually like to have 3 variations of the color. One, the lighter base color, the darker print color, and then one color that works well as an overall in-between color. Of course, we get started by cleaning with a degreaser and a gray scuff pad, getting all the dirt and soil removed. This is the most important step, of course, for adhesion of any repair materials or top coat. And of course, we're doing the same for the entire chair. And I'm following up with my alcohol wash. This is so typical where we have an L-shaped cut and a triangular flap of leather. You can use a PVA-based glue, rub it back and forth so that you moisten those flaps, and then remove all of it from the surface. Then, as you dry the glue with a hairdryer, you can push those flaps down, and as the glue starts to get tacky, it will then hold those flaps in place. A PVA-based glue is ideal for this fiber-to-fiber bonding, but the adhesive by itself will peel if left on the surface. You can scrape the flaps in one direction to open it up a little bit, and that will allow you to get the glue deep inside as you lubricate these flaps. And it's out of view here, but we do have the hair dryer blowing on this so that when the glue starts to get tacky, it will hold these flaps down. Now, as you saw in our opening clip, the entire top of this arm is scratched. So we're going to take a shotgun approach to it and lubricate all of these flaps at one time using the Bondo spreader, and then cleaning everything off the surface again. On the inside of the arm, we have a very deep scratch. Of course, we're going to start as with the others. Here I've mixed some color with our air dry leather filler. Since we have such a large area here, this is a very flexible filler that will take care of some of these small scratches by itself. So let's do an overall of the panel and see what scratches this filler takes care of. And quite typically though, this heavier scratch will require some personal attention. But let's just see how much we can do with this overall fill. A bit of color on my paper towel let me smooth this filler out really nicely. And we'll give this deep scratch some filler of its own. So while that's drying, I need to get access to this panel that needs repaired and see what we can do about it. First of all, I'm here exploring how all this is put together. I have no idea. So we're going to figure out how it comes apart. What do we need to do? Did you ever see so many staples holding a piece in your life? So the plan is to remove this front panel with its bead, and we're just going to recover over top of the bead. So we're going to keep it really simple. The tool that I'm using here is a forked staple puller with a couple of very sharp tines. It's much handier than using a screwdriver. The shaft is bent to enable you to pry upwards. That way you don't have to struggle so much. Still, I have a knack for making it look like I'm struggling. Now that the filler has dried, I can sand it with 400 or 600, whichever you like. And since the customer is, first of all, going to run their hand over it, this might be a good time to do that and make sure everything feels good. Take your isopropanol now and wipe over, and that'll smooth everything out even better. Now with that drying, we're going to measure the width of the leather that we need to wrap around our welt cord. We're going to speed through most of this because many of you won't be doing any of the sewing. Of course, we don't like to watch paint dry either. No regular upholsterer would be using the Sailrite sewing machine that I'm using. They're not a sponsor, by the way. But the reason that I use this machine is it's portable. You see, it comes in its own case, so you carry it like a suitcase. And that being true, I can carry this on my big work van along with a folding table and a folding chair. I have an inverter in the van, so I can sew on location so easily, just as easily as here in the shop. So for the mobile technician, this is a wonderful machine. Now we're attaching our welt cord to the front piece. and everything lines up with my marks. Those same marks are helping me center this on this leg rest. We'll put a couple staples in and check everything to make sure it's up tight. Since I've doubled the thickness of the leather on the welt cord, we're going to have to pay attention to get this tight and get these staples driven home securely. This has proven to be a good bit of work to get this curve back in here. I have the ability to take this simple job and make it look really, really tough, which is quite impressive. I have to make sure that I don't have any leather covering those mounting holes. What I'm wanting to do here is prep this new leather, and we'll get some color put on it. We're going to wipe some color in, and we're going to brush some color on as well, and this will have some cross-linker in it. But let's get this black leather up to speed now, and that way that can be curing a little bit more while we do the rest of the chair. We also have some scratches which aren't very deep, but they are whitish looking, so if we just dab a little color on those, we'll give those guys a head start too. Now for the bottom seat cushion, we've already done a few repairs on that, just as we did on the arm. So let's give it a coat of our light color. Obviously, we need to give some attention to each repair area. We're going with our light color again. And the pre-val this time, just because it's convenient here, just to bring these darker spots up to speed. If we need darker spots, we want them to be more random than these repair spots. This is something that's very typical. After any initial sprayed coat, other imperfections are revealed. So we have a few very small flaps which are only going to require a bit of adhesive. And then as before, we'll use the hair dryer to get that tacky and hold that flap down. We're not going to do any more. A little color we'll fill in around the edges. Here I'm just keeping it flat. There's no need to do anything further with this one. We can put the dark color on in a random pattern using some cheesecloth. You could use a rag, a paper towel, a sponge, anything you'd like. Now a top coat color will soften the look of our print, make it more subtle. Even though our leather color is flexible, as we mentioned at the outset, we have a cushion here which might require extra flexibility. So we've added some flex additive to our color. As you can see, that would be extra important for this bottom seat cushion, as well as for those pillow cushions on the backrest. And as you've seen so far, all of our repairs have been done with flexible repair materials. The PVA glue is very flexible, and there's not much of it left. It's just a small amount where we had the fiber-to-fiber contact for each of the flaps. And the leather filler was very flexible too. Here I'm putting a clear coat to match the sheen of the original leather. This also uh, contains the flex additive, and of course the coloration and the clear coat also have a cross linker for durability. I'm going to repeat the same process on these arms over top of the repairs, the same as we did on that bottom seat cushion. So we're not going to spend a lot of time here. It's just the same thing. This will be more of a review, but at least you'll get to see the job from the beginning to the end. So as before, we got all of our repairs up to speed, and now we're doing an overall with the color. Again, the sprayed coat is apt to reveal some little imperfections that are still sticking up and need addressed. We also had a bunch of scratches on the very top of the chair. Of course, that's where cats like to lie anyway. Those didn't require too much time or too much work, though. The last thing we need to do is to make the leading edge of this bottom seat cushion match the rest of the chair. I'm not going to take a lot of pains with the wood, but the customer asked if there is anything that we could do for the white spots. So as long as we can eliminate the white, I think we're safe. We're just going to use what we have at hand. A little pencil to hit the white spots. Also, I've got some stain, which I'm just going to spot randomly. And a bit of clear. Well, thank you for watching. I certainly hope that you found something helpful there for your business. I'm going to leave you with a very short snippet of music. This is my sister Mary, her friend Michelle, and Aranita doing some backing vocals with yours truly on the guitar.